live on the YouTube. Can you see it on your phone there?
Yeah, yeah, it's on. We're good. Well, it says upcoming, so I guess we're live here. So yeah, we're good. We're good.
All right, everybody. It is a special Almost Human Live. I'm trying to close these windows here. Give me a second. On Wednesday, because tomorrow I'll be going to see Bruce Dickinson, so there won't be no Almost Human Live next week. But this week I said, hey, let's do an Almost Human Live with about Kiss. And then, you even told me on the last episode, hey, you got anybody to get for it? I'll think about it. And then I thought, oh yeah, dude that owns Kiss Facts. Julian, he's a Kiss aficionado.
Well,
And
shit. I thought we
Indeed.
were talking about the Pistols.
huh?
I thought we were going to talk about the Pistols. Damn it. We're talking about Kiss?
You mean
Yes, it's
my
it's oh my God, Kiss.
you mean the Pistols? You mean the greatest band that ever released one album?
Damn right.
Hell yeah. That's a masterpiece. Let's talk about it. Bodies, man. All right. Well, anyway, we're going to talk about Kiss Rock and Roll Over. Me and Tony got the shirt. Now, Tony, yours is weird.
Mine is all Ace
Oh,
Frehley. Mine is Ace and roll over.
I was about to say, a friend of mine pointed this out. He said that Rock and Roll Over, this thing I have here, and this shirt worn to hell, but he says this is rare because it's Ace and Peter on the top.
Yep, it's flipped. Yep.
Yeah. And I
The
don't,
screen printer probably just got it wrong when he lined it up.
yeah, yeah, true. But I love this shirt, but man,
I mean, you
it's
you
it's
could
it
have you could have Paul and Peter on top if you wanted, whatever, or Ace and Gene. That's the good thing about rock and roll over. It's rolling
look at all
over and over,
I
over
can't
and over.
I can't get rid of the shirt, but look at all these holes. I've had that shirt I think since like 91 actually, or maybe even late 80s. I know I had it way before because I found that in a store. And back then, I'm talking about around Hot in the Shade era, Kiss. It was
Hmm.
kind of weird to find like makeup Kiss around down here at least. And
Yeah.
I found that shirt at a flea market. Oh, my favorite Kiss album, Rock and Roll Over, which we'll be talking about tonight. Now, I know I'm the oldest guy here, so I discovered Kiss during Rock and Roll Over. Dio came a little later, but Julian, I follow you, man. I'm like a stalker. When I know the answer, but let's see if Tony can guess. Guess when Julian got into Kiss. What album was it?
Okay, Julian, first I have to ask you, how old are you?
54.
54. Okay, well, you're not much younger than me, because I'm 56. So you didn't, so I'm gonna guess Animalize.
Pretty
Close.
close. Pretty
Pretty close.
close.
Asylum. And I was kind of shocked by that, Julian, to tell you the truth. It was like, really? That's how you discovered Kiss? I mean, I know I was there. I know how big Asylum was, but I think the legacy of Kiss was looming over Asylum, where it's kind of weird you got into it and didn't, know the past, got into it during like Lick It Up, I
Well,
would
let me
say.
let me ask you this: Were you just like, so you were preteen then? You were probably about what,
I
10 or
was
11,
I was 14 in 85.
14 in 85. Okay, so you watched MTV and you saw the videos, and is
I
that why you
watched
got in?
MTV and Tears Are Falling. That video got me
Yeah.
hooked on Kiss, but I wasn't listening to that sort of music. 83 I was listening to Leopard and Quiet Riot.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
before that, it was Duran Duran and Men at Work. I'm not American, so the music that we were listening to in England before I came to America was not in that wheelhouse. So I
Ah,
came to
makes sense.
America. I just continued listening to the Beatles and John Lennon, and then you know, then Duran, then MTV got me. So
Yeah.
MTV when they played music videos, you could get introduced to all sorts of cool bands back then. 83, 84, 85. Great time to be watching
It was
MTV, eh?
it sure was, and it was exposure of a totally different kind than what like Ralph and I grew up on American radio, and you didn't have the visuals. I actually saw a who was it? Was it Three Sides or someone had something about what if Polygram had sent
Oh,
the World Without Heroes video to MTV in '81? Would it help the elder if they had shown that video more? I think it would have because MTV was, I mean, they were struggling for music video and just for content in general. And I think anybody that sent them anything, but for some reason, I've always heard Polygram kind of held back on, letting them have rights to show the stuff from their artists. Because I mean, there was a lot of bands that had music videos back in '81.
But I believe what it was Polygram didn't want to give them anything back then because MTV wasn't paying.
Exactly. Yeah.
Like, why would we spend all this money making a video to give it to you? You know? And uh, I guess they didn't want to give them World Without Heroes. But then again, probably Polygram didn't want anybody to to fucking know about Elder by that time, you know? By that time, Elder was already so bad. It's like, all right, let's shelve this shit, you know? I mean, they shelved the tour, they shelved the whole thing. Elder came out and just plop, and everybody hated it, or nobody knew about it, you know?
Well, that's totally different subject than what we're talking about. But I, that out, what made me want to buy that record was I saw him, on Solid Gold, and I didn't see him on Fridays until like years later. I saw the video, but I remember seeing on Solid Gold and on Casey Kasem's show, and I was just like, I was already a Kiss fan, but I was like, wow, I got to know about this. I got to get this.
yeah, there were very few places that showed that video. It was a new world back then. Some labels saw the promo use of the videos. Polygram didn't, but Polygram was a mess in '81 as well, so they were in flux. But you didn't see Fridays. But while Fridays is going on in January when they're filming it, that weekend they're meeting with the producer who's coming in to do Creatures. So they had already walked away from The Elder. That thing was deader than dead, and they were basically they were put a motor on that speedboat to get away from that.
So, so they,
Wow.
so this happened before they played on Fridays. They already knew it was over by
They
that.
they yeah, they'd already signed a producer for the next album and we're meeting with him.
Wow,
Yeah. Wow.
I didn't know that, you know.
That's
Uh,
cool.
thought
That's
by
good. Good
Fridays,
info.
thought by the time they were playing Fridays was around the time they were trying to push it.
No, they knew it was done.
I remember seeing it on Fridays and looking at it now, I freaking love it. But seriously, I was so dead into metal and Van Halen and stuff that even the Oath was like, it didn't do nothing for me. But then when I, heard it years later, like I've told the story before, the first time I heard The Elder was in 1984 because I went to there was a record shop I'd always go to. Across the street, there was a little mom and pop's record shop. And I went across the street and they had The Elder on cassette for $1. And I was like, and I had a Walkman and it was a long drive back on the bus. I wasn't in a car or anything. And I listened to it on the bus on the way home. And my first impression of it is it's so freaking weird. I love this, you know? And when it was over, I flipped the cassette and I played it again. I played it twice on the way home. I love that album, but this ain't about the elder boys and girls. This is about rock and roll over. This is the album that look. This is with Ace and Peter on the top.
Yeah. That's a rare pressing.
Yeah. So My friend had this album and he played it for me. And honestly, I don't remember. I think it was he played me I Want You and then turned it off. I think. But when I heard that song I Want You, it totally, totally changed my life because up to that point, I like the Yellow and Kansas, the Sweet, I like the couple, but I wasn't like fanatical about it. I was more into movies. But when I heard I Want You, I was like, I need to get that. And I went to the record store and they didn't have Rock and Roll Over, but they had Double Platinum, which had I Want You. Oh, it's on here. So I bought that. And that was my first Kiss record. And it just blew the doors open for me because it wasn't that most people would listen to it and you're so into the album, I gotta have everything Kiss. No, my attitude was like, I gotta have more bands like this. That was how I was thinking back then. I want to find more bands that sound like Kiss. And it opened the door for me. But I Want You to me still, I mean, I know it's trendy for me to say, but I mean, I've said it a million times. I goof on Paul a lot, but I've always said, Paul, to me, wrote the best damn songs for Kiss in the 70s. Those songs, he was the best out of all the four as far as quality. Come On and Love Me, Detroit Rock City, uh, I Want You, Making Love, Strutter. I mean, the guy was just my favorite song, Black Diamond. He wrote that shit. And I Want You just floored me. It was, and then the video. I remember seeing that video on Don Kirshner. Yeah, it was Don Kirshner's rock concert, not Midnight Special, right? I don't know.
Yeah.
Some I get those, but I remember seeing Love 'Em, Leave 'Em, um, I Want You, and what was the Hard Luck Woman. And man, I fell in love with this album so much and was like every damn song. And because that's when I started buying Kiss albums after I discovered Blue Oyster Cult and all the Nazareth and shit like that. And yeah, then I started collecting Kiss albums, and I believe it was either this one or the first one was the first one I got. And this album, I can't. There's a lot of Kiss albums in the 70s that have no filler to me. Like they have almost a perfect discography from the first album to Dynasty. Perfect. I can think about three songs I don't like. Great Expectation, Love Theme from Kiss, and Hooligan. I think I like everything else. Even Then She Kissed Me. I like that shit. But um yeah, I guess we'll go track by track. And Julian, what do you think of I Want You?
I mean, what a powerful and attractive opening song it is, though. With it starts off really low key with the beautiful guitars, and then Paul Stanley drops the hammer. And it's just, I mean, it's balls to the wall. It's confidence. What I love about it is his confidence. The first time I spun that album or cassette, as it was back in the day for me, it was just like a wow moment for the Kiss catalog because I was going back and discovering it, and this is my introduction to this album, first time hearing it, like so many other people. But I hadn't had the benefit of seeing those videos in concert, so it was strictly an audio experience for me. But it's just a powerhouse, and it's one that absolutely has the same sort of energy live as on tape. So fantastic song.
Well, let me ask you, since you are a guy that discovered Kiss in the 80s, what was your first exposure to 70s Kiss, the original Kiss? Was it rock and
Well,
roll?
no, I don't remember what my first exposure. I mean, I remember the first time I ever heard Kiss was like 2 weeks after I got off the plane from England and went into American school, and there was a talent show, and there were kids dressed up in tinfoil playing Black Diamond and Deuce. So that was my first experience of Kiss, but I didn't know who the heck it was at that point. So I don't really know how to answer that other than
When
the
when you
talent show.
when you first came to America, were you like at school saying like, "Hey, governor, how you doing? How's the day, governor?" Did you lose that accent?
Oh, the accent comes and goes depending on the amount of alcohol in my bloodstream, but for the most
Yeah.
part, the accent's long gone with living in so many different places. But yeah, I sounded like a little a Yorkshire Northerner when I first moved here. But after getting beaten up a few times for sounding funny, you lose the accent pretty quick.
Right on. Hi, hey, Tony, man, tell us about I Want You. What do you think of that tune?
Well, I'll give you a little backstory here on this. So, I first heard Kiss was at a friend's house who's I've talked about. I had a friend back in the day that turned me on to a lot of music and stuff, and his mom bought him records all the time, so he had all kinds of stuff. Whatever she'd buy him 45 single, 7 inches and stuff like that. And anyhow, he's playing one of those KTEL records one day. So this would have been 77, and he played Hard Luck Woman. Now, I mostly listened to country music until I started kind of liking rock and roll stuff because that's kind of what my dad turned me on to. So I always liked stuff like, Waylon Jennings and stuff like that. He played Hard Luck Woman one day on some compilation record from KTEL, and I was like, I really like this song. Well, about a week later, my dad took me to buy. I had an 8-track player, so he bought. Said, "Go, we'll go get you a tape, whatever you want." I'd been doing good in school and stuff, so we go to this head shop called Tape City, and it's a freaking head shop, but at the front was all 8-track tapes, and all the paraphernalia stuff was in the back. So I never saw that until like my teenage years. But they had walls of 8-track tapes, and a lot of them what you would call truck stop tapes. There would be bootleg 8-track tapes. They weren't even the originals. But I went in and told the man I want the tape by Kiss that has Hard Luck Woman. And he comes back and he's carrying this. And I didn't even have to say, oh, I don't care what's on that. I just saw this cover and I'd seen this on a guy's jacket at school. And I was like, that's the coolest thing I've ever seen in my life. So I want that. I don't care if Hard Luck Woman's on it or not, but it was. So we come home and we're sitting in my room. My mom comes in. She's like, it's like a scene from a movie. I'll never forget it. We sat down and my mom's like, "What did you get?" We put the tape in and it opens up with the soft opening of I Want You. And he's like, and the thing I want out of life. And my mom's just like, "Oh, this isn't too bad." And then it kicks in. It's like a scene from, it's like almost like the Twisted Sister movie where the video where the guy goes flying out the window, when the kid turns into says, "I want to rock." That was almost the whole scenario. My mom, blows back, and she decided then that she didn't like it. And I can remember my dad saying, "Well, that's rock and roll," and he walked out of the room. So,
Yeah.
like, well, that's cool.
You
So
know, you know what
that's the
that
whole start of me being a metalhead and everything, just from this album. The reason I'm sitting here talking to you two gentlemen tonight is because of this album, you know. But yeah, amazing song. Yeah, just amazing song. Loved it. And when I was a kid, I didn't really know what they looked like other than the album covers. And I really thought they looked like this. And I was an artist. I always drew stuff. And I would draw these heads on bodies. So you had them looking like this when I would draw Kiss, like on stage or whatever, being superheroes. I thought they looked like this. And I just remember, the pick slides at the end of I Want You, just when they're sliding the picks, but they've got all that delay and reverb on it. I always imagined it was rocket ships, and they had rocket ships in those platform shoes, and they're like, they were rising above the stage. So yeah, I just I made my own little cartoon videos in my head listening to this album. Just amazing. I was like I would have been 8 years old.
your story about your mom reminds me of the opening scene of Detroit Rock City.
Yeah,
She thinks she's about to listen to the Carpenters.
yeah, yeah. That's true. I totally forgot about that. Yeah,
Uh,
yeah. She didn't know what she was into. Of course, my mom did not like it, and she got on that whole kick with all the church people saying, "Oh, they're devil worshippers." By the time I remember, I wasn't allowed to watch Kiss Meets the Phantom because the local church groups are trying to get the local TV station not to show it. And I ended up just like, hey mom, going to spend the night over at Rich's house, and she's like, that's fine. She never even thought about we're gonna watch it there, you know.
Well, it's too bad they didn't stop it from airing.
Yeah, man, but
I,
when you're like 9 or 10 years old, it was pretty cool.
I'll tell
It
you,
was right up there with Dukes of Hazzard, you know.
when I first saw Kiss Meets the Phantom, I saw it, at my friend's house. And at the time was, you know, Kiss Mania, and they were super Kiss, they were everything, And I remember watching it, man, as this Kiss fanatic. And after it was done, I thought that wasn't good. And I'm a little kid. I think I'm like 13 or 12. But my dad's driving me home, and I was confused. What the hell did I just watch? But but now I fucking love that movie. I watch that movie a few times a year without, and I prefer the American version with the funky 70s music. I don't want to hear
Yeah, when I watched the one that was in the box sets, what was it? What were they called? What were the Kiss things called? The Chronicles or whatever.
it's
Yeah,
solid.
Kissology. When I watched that version, I was watching it with a friend who had never seen it. Say, "Oh yeah, well let's watch this. You're gonna get a kick out of it." And I was like blown away because I wasn't expecting it to have the solo album music in it, and there was some deleted scenes I'd never seen. It was like watching it for the first time all over again. I think my friend got more. I think she was more enthused getting a kick out of watching me watch it than she did watching it herself because I was like, oh my God, I've never seen this part, you know?
No, it's so there's a lot of it ends differently, you
Yeah.
know, with Devereaux walking out of the park, where they cut out the scene where he turns into an old man or something.
Old frozen man. Yeah.
What the hell was that scene about? I still,
It's like Rip Van Winkle.
yeah, he turned into Rip Van Winkle, the power of Kiss. I want to
Hmm.
give a shout out. There's a friend of mine called Damien, who you guys may be aware of him. He released these videos, VHS back then, of Casablanca Record. He had like little documentaries on it. And we became friends. He lives down here, and he gave me the original Ace Frehley cuffs,
Hmm.
burnt pickups, from Ace guitar, tons of stuff, and a bunch of 8 tracks, including "Rock and Roll Over," man.
Yeah, man.
I have it on 8.
This isn't my original one. This is one I got later. I don't know what happened to the original one, but I remember it looking a little bit different. I don't.
Here,
There's. Have you ever noticed how many different variants there were of different 8 tracks?
yeah.
The labels, the cases,
Well,
everything.
hey, for all I know, this ain't original as well, like yours. All I know is he gave me that, and it looks pretty good. And he also gave me this one. Now, this is Kiss Dynasty on 8 track, but it's a different cover.
Oh
And
wow.
I forget his name. Julian, I'm sure, knows him. There's this guy that knows every serial number from Kiss albums and stuff. And
Yeah.
And I sent them a picture of this. I said, "Hey man, is that exist?" He goes, "That's a bootleg, man. This is a total bootleg. This ain't."
Yeah.
I
Well,
was like,
that's like I was saying, those bootleg truck stop tapes. But usually they wouldn't have the actual picture of the artist on them. It would just say like it would be like the country ones might say country and western music, and it'd be a picture of a barn and a horse. And then you look at the spine, and it had been like typed on there like the best of Waylon Jennings or something like that. You know?
crazy
So
stuff.
yeah,
Then we got
yeah.
then we got the song "Take Me" with "Put your hand in my pocket, grab on to my rocket." I'm telling you, back then when I first heard this for the first time, I didn't know shit about sex. I never even thought of stuff like that. Hearing that, I knew what he meant. It was like, oh, he wants her to grab his dick, his ding dong. I probably called it back then. And I always thought, oh, that's kind of nasty for a little kid. And it had a bad effect on me because I ended up being a serial rapist. So I blame Kiss for that. No, I'm just kidding, kind of. You can Google to see if it's true.
He raped cereal like
Yeah,
Count Chocula and stuff like that.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, unfortunately, there was no cereal with a girl on it, so I had to settle with Count Chocula.
yeah.
But it's a great tune. It's an awesome song. Uh, Probably, I probably have it in the lower tier because I love this album so much. Every song probably be kind of low in my list, but I still think it rocks. It kicks ass. It's a great and something that Julian can tell you, maybe expand a little about it, was when they did Destroyer. It kind of got a backlash, and and I heard Julian can clarify this is true that Paul and Gene were kind of like disappointed with Bob Ezrin till Beth blew up, but until Beth blew up, they were already scrambling to make this harder rock album, Rock and Roll Over. Am I in the ballpark there, Julian?
Yeah, you nailed it. They were petrified once they saw what they had done. It was like an elder moment, part one. Oh my God, we've got a boys' choir, we've got a calliope, we've got orchestra. What have we done? Super polished, and it wasn't like super done like an Alice Cooper album that Ezra had done. It was way off. Um, yeah, so Take Me and Rock and Roll Over as a reaction to that of them being frightened. But a song like Take Me and a song like I Want You is kind of evidence that Paul Stanley learned an awful lot from Bob Ezrin and songcraft because his songwriting takes a quantum leap. And I know Sean Delaney brought this song in, according to Sean, but regardless, there's a whole different level of songwriting going on here and performance. And, what I love about Take Me is just how rock and roll it is. It's a throwback. It's not heavy metal. It's just good time rock and roll. It's so perfect for what I envisaged 1976 with the Ted Nugents, to be doing, and Aerosmith for that matter.
Yeah, perfect. Perfect in line with that for sure.
Yeah. The thing is, at my young years, to see Ted Nugent is a good example. Kiss made me go look for Ted Nugent, Aerosmith, Nazareth, all these hard rocking bands. And to me, as a little kid, mentally, they were all in that box. I didn't see Kiss as like, Kiss is like the haters say stuff like it's just a gimmick. They're a gimmick. It's not real. It's not a real band. It's all gimmick. Man, if it was all gimmick, you know, how can I say I Want You is a bad song? Or, Detroit Rock City or Black Diamond, I can go on and on.
I mean, it's not even like they were the monkeys or somebody else was writing their songs, you know.
Exactly. They were writing their own song. They were kicking ass, man. In the 70s, there was no stopping this band. They became huge in a real short amount of time. It took them what, a year, maybe a couple months, a year and 3 months or something, for a live to kick in. But yeah. Go ahead, Tony. What do you think of Take Me?
I've always liked it. There's a great riff in that song. That opening riff is really cool. And of course, that like at my age at the time, at 8, I really had no idea what he was talking about with the rocket. I was thinking, oh, Paul's got a rocket in his pants, like a toy rocket or
Oh,
something,
really?
Or sitting in the back, her head down in my lap. I had no idea what he was meaning there, and but of course, like I said, I was 8 years old. So. But yeah, cool song. The live version that they did that we hear like on the Houston and show and stuff with the take me, baby," the terrible delay that they put on that. That's pretty awful. But I love the studio version of it. It's pretty cool.
Come on, the old school, innuendo. There was something special about the way these guys wrote songs back then, that it wasn't
Yeah,
in your face, that it wasn't spelled out for you, that there was no way in that you weren't going to misunderstand what they were saying. I mean, look at today. But Aerosmith, it was an art. Nugent, it was an art. Well, Nugent was a little bit more in your on your throat, but again, they put effort into writing stuff that had a sense of humor as well, and it didn't cross
yeah.
that line. While you may not have known what it meant at 8 years old, it wasn't vulgar. It wasn't over the top. It was just kind of quirky.
Yeah, it wasn't like Burn Bitch Burn. Um,
Yeah. Great solo breakdown in that too, to make me feel it and then solo comes in. It's really cool.
yeah, no, notice like Ace doesn't have a lot of credit on here. And in an interview, he said, "Oh, at the time, I was just saving all my material for my solo album. But if that's true, then you gave them Shock Me and Rocket Ride, which are like probably my two favorite Ace songs, before the solo album. You know what I'm saying? So
Hmm.
I don't know. I don't buy the story that he was
Nah.
I
saying,
think he was
But
partying pretty hard at this time. I mean, from what I've heard about Anaheim and what was going on in the summer of '76, Ace was fully enjoying his fame at this point. So I think he got a little
yeah.
bit, probably got a little bit lazy. Um, he did have songs. There's truth to that. But I think Gene and Paul were machines with the stuff. I mean, look at all their stuff on this album. And you can just imagine how tough it is to get a song presented when these guys are just doing all this work.
Yeah, as much as they were coming in with great tracks, Ace did some really good solos on Rock and Roll Over. And we got to say, at least Ace played on this record. I think he played on every track because, in some of the like Destroyer, and I'm not even sure about Love Gun. Was there any extra studio musicians, I guess, brought in on those albums? I think it was the four guys on Rock and Roll Over.
I believe it's the four guys on Love Gun. I never heard any rumblings of anybody guessing on.
No, there's just one extra. Well, there's the background singers on there, and there's Jimmy Malin on percussion. Doing the congas on Almost Human, and there's
Okay.
strings. But in terms of the meat and potatoes, it's the four. Yeah, simple as that. On this album, on Love Gun,
Yeah, I love how Gene and Paul bring up like, well, Ace was too drunk. He didn't play on this, and he didn't do this, and he didn't do that. But then later on, I mean, there's songs that, like Shandy. I think only the only member of Kiss that's on Shandy is Paul, and it went overboard after that, you know. But anyway, um, next is Calling Dr. Love, right?
yep,
And I believe that was the single, right? That was a single for the album.
that was a single. That was a top 40 payola hit.
Fucking great tune, man. That song, it's total Gene. And I have the Gene Simmons vault and I have like, all the earlier versions of this song. And boy, on Dr. Love, it nails it. All the other ones, it seems to me be missing something. All
Yeah.
those versions before it. What I forgot what were they called? Bad something or
Bad
Bad
Lovin'.
lovin'. Yep.
Yeah.
bad loving. Yeah,
God, yeah.
it needed, some retooling and man, it nailed it. And you want to talk about a killer guitar solo from Ace, that spacey sound he's getting during that guitar solo and the weird effects and stuff. Genius, man. I would
Hmm.
it's probably my second favorite after I Want You on this album. What do you think, Julian?
Quite possibly Gene's best song, though it's not going to dethrone Deuce for me. But his vocal, that whole band, I mean, it's typical Gene. It's a blender. It's all these different demos that he's worked on. He's come up with a line here, a line there. He sat on lines, and eventually it all comes together. And I mean, come on, Calling Dr. Love, what a great title. But live in concert, what a great song. Just everything about the crunch. I mean, this whole album crunches. These guitars are crunching the whole way through, but they're not abrasive. So it's a very singable song. It's catchy, and he delivers it with full persona. So yeah, it's a complete winner. I'm glad he had a good chart performance for it because he certainly deserved it.
You notice the similarity on verse two of Calling Dr. Love is very similar to the verse two of Mr. Blackwell, where he says, even though I'm full of sin, in the end you'll
Yeah.
let me Mr. Blackwell, he says something like, damn it, something sin, you know.
Yeah, I can't think of it right now.
I know it just it mirrors the same opening line on the two songs.
I'm just a sinner that loves to sin. I think that's what he says on
And
right
I'm a
there.
fighter that loves to win. Yeah, yeah, that's it. But what do you think of Dr. Love there, Tony?
It turned out to be my favorite track on the album when I was a kid. Just loved it, and it was weird because I remember my friend that I said that turned me on to so much stuff. He did for some reason he didn't buy Rock and Roll Over. He like skipped it and he ended up getting the live too. And I remember we used to argue about which version was better, the live version of Alive 2 or the studio version. And I was like voted for the studio version. It's just to me it just sounds so much better. But the part in Calling Dr. Love with the little drum break and Gene goes, ha! When I was a kid, another friend convinced me that's when he spit fire. And he said hot. Yeah. So, just your little 8-year-old mind wandering there about what's going on. Like I said, just envisioning these guys larger than life, playing these songs. But yeah, that's another such a good song. Another great solo from Ace on that one.
I don't know if I skipped it or if it's the next track, Ladies Room.
Ladies'
Next.
Room is next. Yeah.
Okay. This is another, I think this is an amazing song. Now, Gene Simmons kind of dumbed down his bass playing after really after the first three albums because he does a lot of cool runs, but he does a run on this tune that's so catchy.
Doom
What
doom doom.
yeah, what he's playing, it's McCartney-esque. And I love when Gene does that. And yeah, it's a song that, your typical suck and fuck song, but it's fun, man. It's such a fun song. I love it on a live too. I love everything on a live too. You know,
Yeah.
this song is it's just a fun, keep it simple, stupid type of tune. Um, don't bore us, get to the chorus. It's a catchy, awesome little tune. That's what I think, Julian. What do you think?
It's fun. It's got innuendo, meet, and then meet you in the ladies' room. I mean, come on, it's catchy. Musically, it's super fun. This is one where I'll agree sounds better on the live too, because you get that live energy coming through with it as well. But come on, 1970s. Again, this is right in that wheelhouse of what you want to expect from bands. And the demon singing it, he can get away with singing it seriously, which is hilarious to me. Um, so bless Gene Simmons.
Yeah, and the cowbell, man. The cowbell in that song rules. It
Yeah,
kind of
totally.
kind of upsets me. Saturday Night Live didn't use Our Luck Woman. I mean, Ladies Room and Don't Fear the Reaper, where the cowbell is like so deep in the mix, forever. When I saw that skit, I go, "What cowbell?" And then I listen to it and I hear it faintly in the back. Tick, tick, tick. Use Ladies Room or Mississippi Queen. Right.
Yeah, Mississippi Queen for sure.
All right, Tony, what do you think of Ladies Room?
Once once again, 8-year-old Tony didn't understand why did Gene want to go to the ladies' room. You know, and my mom did not like that song. She's like, "What is he singing? What is he singing about?" He wants to go in the ladies' room. So it's just, it was just, yeah, just not good on her outlook on it. But I always like the song. It's a cool little riff. It's very catchy. Um, like you said, the cowbell in it is really cool. But yeah, I like it. I think I do like the Alive 2 version better.
It's also really fun in Detroit Rock City, the movie. Great scene.
Hmm. Yep.
I just watched that movie the other day. What scene? I already forgot. There's a scene with Ladies Room in that movie. I'm
Yeah,
playing it.
when they sneak in and try and be pervs. and the doors fall off and the walls collapse.
Oh yeah, in the bathroom. The girl. Oh, the ladies' room. I get it. Um, yeah, I love it. All right, before we keep going, Tony, can you see what's going on in the peanut gallery?
Yeah, yeah. It's people are just talking amongst themselves, making. So you got some people just they're just quoting lyrics. Um, some of the stuff we spoke about here. Um, ladies' room alive too. Awesome. Bob says meet you in the unisex bathroom if that's okay with you.
Well, that's how you have to change the lyrics today.
Yeah, and we got Paul Stanley of Kith says Bob meet us in the ladies' room too. Come aboard the Paul Express. Choo choo choo. Yeah. Um, Professor of psychedelic studies says Jean wore way more makeup than any lady. Well, except for Tammy Faye Baker.
Right on. All right, then we go into a Baby Driver, I think is the next one, right? Um, I love it, you know. Like I said, I love every song on this album. Again, I'd kind of put this one lower, but Peter Criss to me is, and it proves it on this song, especially when he's screaming. That's my favorite voice in Kiss. My favorite singer in Kiss. What he does on Mainline and Strange Ways and Black Diamond and Baby Driver, especially that end when he's doing those big screams and shit. Baby Driver is a rocking tune, man. I dig it. What do you think, Julie?
I think Peter Criss was happy that there was no 7/8 time on this album, so it was just his ability his he was given room just to be a drummer and drum the way he wanted to on these songs and getting his own song on the album. There's a great demo that's out there on YouTube of Baby Driver and Gene trying to kissify it. So it's got some swing to it. It's got that chug. It's a great driving song. Whenever I go to a Kiss show, I'm spinning this album because it's got songs like this, and from start to finish, there's a consistent quality of drumming, guitars, singing all across the board. And it's just Eddie Kramer there, recording them perfectly, getting them to do what he knows they can do in their head. And on Baby Driver, Peter delivers.
Hell yeah. Tony, what do you think?
One of my favorite Peter Criss songs, period. I mean, he just sounds amazing on this song. I love the riff in the song, and it just comes in a wham, wham, wham. It's just pounding, you know. And yeah, he sounds great on it. I would love to hear the whole recording where instead of having it fade out, because he's just screaming his ass off there at the end, man. You know, as it fades out. But and I was quite disappointed that that song didn't appear in the movie Baby Driver.
Oh yeah. Then that's only side one of this awesomeness. So we flip it over and we got Love 'em, Leave 'em. Um, yeah, this one, I mean, even when I was a little kid, I knew what he was talking about, you know. Not to the extent of a groupie, you know, love 'em, leave 'em, but it sounded like a guy that just liked different chicks. That's what I got out of it. As a little kid. Later on, I understood. I mean, that's how actually he really was. And but it's another great tune. I love that they captured this on video, that they actually made a video to this song, which is
Hmm.
weird considering Dr. Love, you know, Making
Yeah,
Love, you know, the songs
yeah,
that too.
yeah.
They're
There was just three videos, right? Hard Luck Woman, I Love 'Em, Leave 'Em, and I Want You.
yeah,
Yeah.
which
Yep.
all well, Hard Luck Woman was a single,
Hmm.
but damn, and Love 'Em Leave 'Em. It's a fun, total Kiss song. The shit that really pissed off Led Zeppelin fans, and I love it, man. You know, it's not everything's got to be so intellectual. I like stupid shit, you know, and this is kind of dumb, but it's fun. You know, it's like I don't take life so goddamn serious. You know that you oh this is you know they're talking about this, like Steel Panther. I thought their first couple albums were freaking amazing. I think they jumped the shark after that. But those
Yeah.
albums were full of funny ass shit, but it rocked. It's
Hmm.
fun. It was killer, and that's how I look at Love 'Em, Leave 'Em. What do you think, Julian?
It's basic. I mean, it's not making you think about anything. It's kind of got that back and forth Gene Simmons stomp cadence going to it. Just you can almost see him doing those stomps on stage in time to the tempo of the song. So it's fun, it's dumb, it's rock and roll. I mean, what more can you ask for? Meat and potatoes.
Hell yeah. What do you think, Tony?
Yeah, that stomp that Julian just mentioned. Yeah, it's just like watching that video when they come out, man. He comes down and he's leaping up and down, Just it's really neat, man, to watch that video. But yeah, and especially seeing it years later after I'd listened to the tape for 20 years before. But yeah, great song. A lot of tongue-in-cheek lyrics. The whole, you lift your dress, you want to impress, but one thing I've got to confess. Yeah, yeah, really cool. Just fun, goofy lyrics from Gene.
You watch those videos and you can tell it's very early in the rock and roll over cycle because they're wearing the destroyer costumes.
Well, that's
Where
what they wore on that tour.
on the whole rock and roll over tour,
Yeah,
when
yeah.
they
I think Paul maybe had where he didn't have a sleeveless outfit at one point, but yeah, they wore the same costumes.
I didn't know that, and now
Two cycles. Yep.
the Kiss dorks are looking down on me now. I always thought they changed to those costumes midway through the tour or something. And so those costumes came out during Love Gun.
The Love Gun was the first time they wore those costumes that you see on the cover of Love Gun was Love Gun tour.
That's my favorite look right there. My favorite album cover, Love Gun. But then what do we got? Is it Mr. Speed? See, let me read off the track listing
Yeah,
on the
yeah,
track.
Mr.
Don't read it
Speed's
off the
next.
8 track.
The eight track's all mixed up. It's not
If
not completely right
I Want You, then Take Me, then Ladies Room Part 1.
on the 8 track. Yeah,
That's another lame thing about 8 track. Songs would like lower and then come back.
yeah. Channel
Um,
2 fades back in.
and then Ladies Room continues, then Calling Dr. Love, then Baby Driver, then Hard Luck Woman, then Love 'Em, Leave 'Em, part 1. Then it fades into part 2. Then See You in Your Dreams, then Making Love. So yeah, it's all jumbled.
Yeah.
But
But Mr. Speed is next.
yeah, Mr. Speed is really like the dark horse on this album. It's the one that like the real diehard Kiss fans fucking worship, and I don't blame them. It's a great tune. It's an awesome song, catchy again. It's rocking. I love that opening riff. It's
Hmm.
killer, man. It just starts so amazing, and it really does. I mean, that opening riff to me, like that's Kiss, 100% Kiss, early Kiss. They didn't really do shit like that after that rocky rolly, but real catchy opening riff. And the song is just badass. I love Mr. Speed. What do you think, Julie?
It's the riff. It's just the creativity of the riff and the energy of the song. I mean, it's you just said it, badass. I mean, what else do you have to say about Mr. Speed? It's not going to make you think. It's fun, good time rock and roll. It's you're not thinking about your troubles. You're just having a good time listening to this album.
And it wasn't played live either.
Shame on them.
Yeah.
What a travesty. What do you think, Tony?
I've always thought is that it's just a sad situation that they never released that as a single. I think that song could have been a hit song for them, and it's a shame they never played it live. And it's one of my favorite Kiss songs. I might even put it in my top five.
There you go, man.
Yeah, they
Yeah.
did 7 of these songs live. throughout their career.
What was the song in the '80s that started out with the kind of the Mr. Speed riff?
The Oath, wasn't it?
No, it was the one that went down, 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 down. It was something. It was something on like a Crazy Nights or Asylum or something. I
No,
can't remember.
no,
It's
no.
one of,
You're thinking about Secretly Cruel.
that's it. Yeah.
The beginning riff of Secretly Cruel is total 70s Kiss.
It sounds like Mr. Speed in a way.
Right. But yeah, then we go to See You and Dream. Probably my least favorite, but I still love it. And I like it more than the Gene solo version.
Oh yeah.
It's a great song. It's kind of a dark horse to me. It's not very talked about, kind of hidden there. And I don't know what possessed Gene to say, I'm going to do it again on my solo album. You know,
Yeah, I always wondered that. It's strange.
what the hell was up with that? But um, but it's a fun song. It may be my least favorite, but as I said, this album's all killer, no filler. And I feel Senior Dreams a cool Gene song. Um, I dig it. What do you think, Julie?
Yeah, I wouldn't call it a throwaway, but it's certainly not up there in terms of the songs I dig on this album. I actually prefer the version on Gene's solo album. It's got a bit more energy, a bit more kind of tempo, or I guess drive to it. It's hard to really differentiate. But for Meat and Potatoes Kiss, it's perfectly fine. I like the backing vocals on it as well. So again, it's a cool lyric, but it's just not 100% there for me.
Didn't the Gene solo version have like female singers singing?
Oh,
Yeah,
this
the
one did.
backing
Yeah,
was.
this album had them as well. So, um, he loved his female backing singers on his songs. So he'd
Is it?
started using them.
I always thought it sounded like Gene's vocals are kind of doubled, kind of a harmony on the on Rock and Roll Over
Yeah, he and Paul
version.
would often do that. Paul would do falsetto and then they double it up. So it's hard to
They're
tell
doing the
sometimes.
well, they're doing the part with see you, kind of back and forth. You can kind of tell Paul's voice from Gene on that. But yeah, I always thought it was a cool song. I mean, it might be my least favorite on the album, but I still love it. I like the story, the topic of the story, and I mean, it's a cool song. I do like this version better than the Gene Simmons solo album version. I always thought that was strange when I got that. I was like, well, I wonder why he went back and did that. Of course, in the solo album version, he adds an extra few lines in it too about the whole "I love you," it's true. Take me home tonight. That's not in the Rock and Roll Over version.
And Rick Nielsen of Cheap Trick plays a solo on the solo version of that song. All right, then we go into what I consider the greatest Kiss ballad of all time, Hard Luck Woman. And I remember too that I had an album that was, remember K-Tel? The K-Tel albums?
Mhm.
They would sell these albums that had all radio hits. And I remember I had one that had Hard Luck Woman.
That's where I first heard it.
Oh,
Was
really?
the KT. Yeah, that my friend had the KTL record. Came out in '77. Yeah.
It boggles my mind Beth was a hit and this wasn't. I mean, to the extent of Beth. I
Oh
mean,
yeah.
and you know what? I'm one of those people that love Beth. It may be nostalgia for me or something, but I freaking love Beth. But Hard Luck Woman is way better. I mean,
Great song. Yeah.
it takes it blows away Beth badly. And but it was like a moderate hit, I think. I think it made like maybe the top 20 or something. Because it was a single. But I don't recall when I was a kid hearing it on the radio much at all, actually. I might have. But but yeah, I remember it from that K-Tel album. And of course, Paul wrote it for Rod Stewart, and Rod Stewart, I don't know if Rod Stewart like rejected it, or maybe Julian knows, but uh Peter's voice is perfect on it. He's got that raspy Rod Stewart type voice. And Rod Stewart was huge at the time, which makes it even more perplexing how that didn't become a hit. But Was it that Rod Stewart rejected it, Julian, or you
I don't
didn't?
know. I don't know if it's only a story that Paul wrote it with Rod Stewart in mind. I don't know if it was ever presented to him. I mean, these guys had two albums to do a year for Casablanca, so I really don't think that Paul Stanley would just be giving away songs for publishing peanuts rather than putting them on an album for a bit more money for himself. So again, what a incredible composition. This is next level songwriting from Paul Stanley because this is quantum leap away from Strutter. As great as Strutter is as a song, he's taking on a whole new level. And this is to me is the Ezrin effect of what he learned from Bob Ezrin about songcraft on the previous album coming to fruition. And while it wasn't a hit, I'm glad they let Peter sing it because that voice of Peter's is just perfect for this song. Just absolutely fantastic. I'm not sure if it's my favorite on the album, but it's up near the top.
It has the most unique guitar playing on a Kiss tune back then. All the, the acoustic thing going on,
Mhm.
kind of like going into each other, and it's really there's nothing like it on a Kiss album. Maybe the closest is the beginning of Rock Bottom. That's about it.
It's
Yeah.
pretty legit musicianship, isn't it? I mean, why they felt they had to prove themselves in 1981 when they've got a performance and composition like this. That that I would have thought would have been all they need to say, "Hey, look at us. We can write quality songs."
Yeah, Sammy Hagar could never write a song like that, and he
Nope.
didn't. He didn't get no shit. Kiss were way more talented, but then again, so is everybody. But Tony, what
It's the song that got me into Kiss. It made me want to go out and find out who this was that I was listening to because I just thought it was a great song and it's a good storyline. You thinking back on it now, I remember many times not having not having access to the lyrics back as a kid. I didn't know if he was saying red or rags, which and I remember some friends thought he was saying Beth, Beth, because it's kind of continuation of the song or whatever from Beth, but
what does he say?
Rags, isn't it?
I don't know.
Yeah, rags.
Yeah,
Rags, great,
I'm sure.
sailor's only daughter, but yeah, this it's a great tune. Like you said, man, the guitar picking in it's very different from anything else you've heard. I would definitely want to compare the style to the beginning of Rock Bottom. You can hear his fingers sliding on the strings when he's playing, and because the acoustic guitar through the whole song. And you remember in the video, Ace and Paul are like playing the double neck guitar together. You know,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Um, all right, the last song I gotta say, "Making Love" to me has the fastest Ace guitar solo along with Dark Light. That is some serious ripping on Making Love. And the song itself, it's like hard rock perfection. It's fast, it's furious, it's what a bookend, because both songs are pretty much cutthroat. I want You's cutthroat and then end it with a cutthroat. And to me, my favorite albums are the ones that end with a song that you're wanting more. And that's how this album ends. It ends me. I want more of this. Making Love is blistering. Love the live two version. Um, the riffage, it's ramped up. It's an amazing, amazing closer. Probably my third favorite. I would say I Want You, Hard Luck Woman, and Making Love are my three favorite. And then Dr. Love will be my four favorites on the album. What do you think, Julian?
This is my favorite Kiss song for a good period of my teens. Just that guitar pick attack at the beginning and the riff. You've said the words, Ralph. You've said it. Cutthroat, full throttle. I mean, what more do you want to end an album on than a song like this that is just, it's green light all the way. There is no red light. It's just, it's go, 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 just power. And it's power rock, but it's power rock with a really good vibe as well, good energy. That's what I want in my rock and roll.
Hell yeah. What do you think, Tony?
I think it's one of the best Kiss riffs ever. It's one of the heaviest Kiss riffs ever. I love the tone of the guitar. I mean, Eddie Kramer's production on this record is just top notch, and it just sounds like when you hear that opening riff, it's almost like you got to look at there's somebody in the room playing the guitar. It sounds so live. To be a studio album, it's got that live sensibility about that tone of the guitar. And yeah, it's just great. Love the solo. You mentioned just that blistering guitar solo from Ace. Amazing. I love the way it fades out. The da 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 da, just pop 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 da 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 da, and it just fades out like then it kind of comes back. Before it does that, it does the drum roll. Then it does that part on the way out. That's just great ending to the song. And it's like just icing on the cake for the album. Just it just ends it like that. It's a great ender for sure.
You can tell they worked hard, maybe in a
Man,
short period of time.
and thinking they put it together in 6 months or less. You
Yeah,
know,
freaking out about Destroyer. They're like, we got to do something, really heavy rock and this and that. And I don't think they could have got heavier and faster original Kiss than Making Love. That's just the blistering track to end all tracks, man. And you know, I still have a very special place for Rock and Roll Over. It's been my favorite Kiss album forever, but I don't know, maybe like a year ago, it's like, you know what? It's the first Kiss album, even with its flaws. I mean, I would say right now, man, listen to those Kiss demos with Eddie Kramer. I wish the first album sounded like that. You know,
yeah,
those
I
demos
agree.
are way better sounding sonically, but I don't know. I think the reason I like the first Kiss album more is because of the songs. Those songs are just, you know, Strutter, Cold Gin. I love Let Me Know. Deuce, 100,000 Years, Black Diamond. It's like, to me, that's like the greatest Kiss songs. And that's why I put it so high. But that right there, this album, it was the perfect time for me to discover Kiss. I mean, seriously, everything you see around behind me is all because of I Want You. It has everything to do with one damn Kiss song. And it wasn't really the makeup that, I mean, I became a Kiss fanatic, of course, and the make was cool, but it was the song that hooked me in. I didn't know shit about Kiss. That song hooked me in. I need to buy Kiss. Bought double platinum. And then I remember seeing the very first time I ever saw Kiss in a magazine was Mad Magazine. And it was inside, it was just a little, square picture of Kiss, a little jokey thing. And that was the first time, I already knew what they looked like, but I was like, man, that image is cool. And then, yeah, then I got bombarded by everything. It was around between Rock and Roll Over and Love Gun that the blitz happened with the merchandising, where you saw,
Sure,
or I saw back then, commercials on TV of the Miko dolls. I remember seeing the commercials for Kiss Your Face makeup. I remember seeing all that shit. They were like the
yeah,
biggest thing ever. And
yeah.
I was deep into it, man. And I got into it. I got into Kiss before Alive 2 came out. So when Alive 2 came out, it just, you know, exploded. And but
Alive 2 was the second record I ever got by him was Alive 2. So yeah, and I got that on 8 track. It was two 8 track tapes.
I actually this is a funny story. I bought my brother Kiss Alive 2 on 8 track, which was two 8 track tapes. And when he was in the army, I took it to the barracks and gave it to him. He's like, cool. And he fucking threw that shit aside. Man, I can't let my army buddies hear me listen to this crap. which I got to tell my brother Kiss story, which I've told in the past. It's a
Yeah.
very it's a very sad story. My brother went to go see the Love Gun tour, and this was at the this is when I'm totally into Kiss. I begged him, please, I want to go with you to see Kiss on the Love Gun tour. Nope, no, you're too young. He talked my parents into not letting me go. And I was so pissed, right? And my brother left to the concert, and I go in my room to listen to my 8 track of Kiss Alive, and he took it with him. Boy, that hurt.
Oh man, that was a smack in the face, man.
He later, he later, he later told me, no, the reason I didn't want you to go is because I didn't want you seeing me smoke weed. I'm like I'm gonna be looking at you. I'll be looking at Aces smoking guitar. I don't give a fuck what you do, man. I want to go see Kiss. Smoke up. I don't give a fuck. But yeah, God, I came that close to seeing the Love Gun tour. If my only my brother was cool. Yeah, by the way, he's still a dick. I'm kidding. I love my brother. But yeah, that's my very sad Kiss story. Oh, I almost saw. He didn't even buy me a shirt, the prick. You know?
Wow.
Yeah. Sad times.
Sad times, man. Yeah.
But anyway, looking back, Julian, as a whole, where do you think Rock and Roll Over fits in the history?
It's that follow up to Destroyer. It's what they needed. They needed to make hard rock again and not orchestral, overly polished stuff. So to them, it set the tone for pretty much the rest of the original era. So they didn't go into that experimentation with Bob like they had. Um, and you know what? I think it sets a really good standard for what Kiss should be. Like you said with the first album, this is them doing that first album all over again with Eddie Kramer, from the get-go, recording live in a theater. So they knew how they had to record in order to get that sound, in order to get that performance, and it comes across. It remains a winner. What's it mean to me in history? Everything. It's my favorite damn album in the Kiss catalog. Always will be.
Yeah, you said something interesting I didn't think of before, but it is true. It's kind of them doing their first album again because they're trying to get back to what they were in the beginning, but of course, it doesn't sound like the first three Kiss albums. It doesn't.
No.
But it does sound. I mean, I hear Destroyer on it, and I hear Love Gun on it as well. But the thing about Love Gun, let's see if you guys agree. If you ever thought of this, Love Gun to me sounds like, all right, we're gonna do rock and roll over again, but we're gonna throw a little Destroyer in here, like you hear it in Almost Human. It's got all those little crazy effects, kind of like God of Thunder. There ain't no God of Thunder on Rock and Roll Over, but they kind of dabbled because by then Destroyer was a hit, which proves my philosophy that the only reason Gene and Paul don't like The Elder is because it wasn't big. Because if Destroyer would have flopped and Beth wouldn't have saved it, they'd be looking back at Destroyer like they'd look back at The Elder now. That's right. That's what I think. I don't get no respect from Gene and Paul. I can say these things. But
So every time they do an album with Bob Ezrin, they have to follow it with a hardcore, badass rock album. So Elder leads to Creatures, and Destroyer leads to Rock and Roll Over. There's your parallels.
And revenge leads to Psycho Circus.
oh no, Carnival of Souls,
The Carnival of Souls. Yeah, there you go.
which is a very heavy album,
It is very heavy. Yep.
you know.
I forget about that. Yep. Yep.
But
Yep.
yeah. What yeah, so it's your favorite album from Kiss, Julian?
Absolutely. That I never waver. I never change on that. This is my go-to album.
Was it your favorite album the first time you heard it, or did it need a couple spins?
I don't know. I don't remember. I just remember the impression I Want You made on me and making love at the end when you get to the end of that trip. It's always been one that jumped out at me in my explorations of the music. So
How about you, Tony? Where would you place well, it's your favorite as well. Oh no, not
It's
only,
my it's
yeah,
my favorite album of all time,
yeah,
period, out of anything. It's
that's
it's the
right.
re it's the reason, like I said, I'm sitting here talking to you guys tonight. I mean, that album changed my life big time. And I love everything about it. I love every song. I think it's the heaviest Kiss record of the 70s. It's every song's great on it. Like I said, I love the production, just the tone of the guitars, everything about it. And it's being that I got Alive 2 next. I think that's one of the reasons that I've never liked Destroyer and Love Gun that much because I got used to hearing the songs, a lot of songs from those two records. I heard them perform live on Alive 2, and I like the versions of God of Thunder and Detroit Rock City and King of the Nighttime World. So I like those better than what I hear. The studio versions kind of sound weak and watered down because excuse me, Love Gun I did get a few years later, and I do like a good portion of Love Gun, but I hardly ever go back and listen to Destroyer. I didn't get a copy of Destroyer probably until the 80s sometime. And I remember my friends having it and stuff, but most of the songs I had heard on Double Platinum and Alive 2. So when I did get it, it just sounded weak and watered down to me in a lot of ways. Now, I do like it. There's some stuff on there I do like about it. I think it's one of the most iconic album covers in the Kiss catalog. But still, like I said, this is my favorite album, my favorite album cover from Kiss. I wanted to show you guys. I got a couple of different versions because this is um this is the famous teardrop, Paul Stanley teardrop cover. You can see the teardrops coming, the blue teardrops coming out of his eye, the one that doesn't have the star. And that was a misprint, supposedly. This was like a Columbia House pressing or whatever. And it was just a misprint. Now they've become really highly sought after over the years. Um, this
Yeah,
is a B. This is a okay. So we know the inner sleeve that you get in Alive 2. You get the inner sleeve like that. Um, this is a BMG Record Club pressing from like the 80s, and the inner sleeve that they used was the Love Gun inner
oh
sleeve
wow, wow.
for some reason. Um, and then I've got a Japanese copy with the Obi strip, and it's a
that's a
gatefold.
gatefold, isn't it? Yeah, look
Yeah,
at
it's got a
that's a
live
great one.
shot of the band. It came with a poster. I don't mine didn't come with a poster when I got it. If you find one with the poster, sometimes they're quite pricey to get that poster. Um, and then I've got of course here's just a regular U.S. president, but it's got the sticker and the order form. You know, if you the sticker was kind of weird. The sticker was like perforated where you can break off pieces like a puzzle. I never understood that, but that's the way it was because there's your merch sheet, and I mean you can get a Kiss belt buckle for $5. That same belt buckle costs you $150 nowadays. Just the prices on this stuff is just like I guess when I was a kid I thought $5 was a lot of money. But
Yeah, man.
yeah,
If I had that order form, I'd send them $20. Here, send me all that shit. That that
yeah,
that, that,
yeah, man, for like $26 you can get everything. There's the German S's, the German version. And then this is an odd one. I got this a couple years ago. This is a 1984 pressing from Mexico, and it's got
wow.
Creatures of the Night is the
That's
cover.
that's rock and roll over.
Yeah, it's rock and roll over. Yep,
So
but
so the front is the Creature of the Night, the back is Dynasty.
yeah, but it's like made in Mexico. It's got a bonus track on here by Gene Simmons called "I Want to Eat Your Taco." Now I thought it was pretty odd. I'd seen this before. It's on Casablanca. I can't remember what the label.
Yeah, that one's part of
But
a series, 30 years
yeah,
of rock and roll. They did them for a bunch of artists.
yeah, it's still got the Casablanca label on it. But yeah, a friend of mine got it in his shop. I think it was last year, and I he was doing a little video flip through on Facebook, and I was like, wait a minute, I need that. So I messaged him, say I'm going to come down and get that today. But yeah, but and then I've got of course I showed the 8 track, and I've got the polygram cassette, and this is a Columbia House cassette from the I guess from the late '70s, where the Columbia House tapes are always like white. The light's not showing it good. You can see that it's got the all the Columbia House tapes always used to look like that. They're very plain, and it was a black cassette. Kind of cool. And I have, of course, the remastered CD, and this is a custom CD. This is a custom made CD. It's in the fat jewel case, and it's a 2 CD set, nicely made up. It's got a booklet in it. A friend of mine makes these kind of things, and it's got the booklet, lots of photos in it. It's even got the merchandise form replicated here, and it's got a bunch of bonus tracks on here. Let's see. Oh, he's got posters. Comes with miniature posters here. It's all falling apart on me here. Oh, and he even replicated the sticker, and it is on sticker paper, so you can stick it on something. And it's got the full album, and he remastered it himself. And it's got the single edit for Dr. Love. It's got a bunch of demo tracks on it from the various demos. And then the second disc is live tracks from Houston and Tokyo from the tour. But yeah, a friend of mine, Michael Edwards. I don't know if Julian knows Michael,
Yeah, I know
but
him. Great. He does
yeah,
great artwork.
yeah, he made this. Yeah, we're from the same area, so we used to do a Kiss fanzine together back in the '90s, before they did the reunion and all. During I think we started doing it around the time uh, probably Revenge or so was out. I guess was when we started doing it.
That's
Yeah.
amazing. So that's a bootleg.
It's a bootleg, yeah. It's I think he and I are the only people to just unless he's made them for other people too. There's not many out there, put it that way.
That is wild, man. I would love to have something like
Yeah, he
that.
gave it to me for my birthday one year because he knew that was my all-time favorite record. So he's like, I got something for you. So that was very nice of him.
Do you ever think they'll release a rock and roll over box set?
Yes.
Well, now that Pop House owns all that stuff, it's probably who knows? I mean, what do they have that they can put on it? I mean, they'd have to get the band's involvement for all that. Wouldn't you say that, Julian?
No,
They don't have.
Universal controls the music.
Oh, they
Um,
still do. Okay.
Yeah, yeah, they have all that. I just did a video on what I think should be on a Rock and Roll Over box next year. So yeah, they've got
Be,
they will have
that'd be
stuff in
great.
in the vault for various takes of these songs. I'm hoping there's the Paul Stanley version of Hard Luck Woman from 76 in there. I hope there's Queen for a Day, even though it's an instrumental. I don't know what the other song that they recorded was called, but there's plenty of stuff in the demos which you've got on there, but imagine going back to the master tapes and having
Mhm.
pristine, properly EQ'd stuff to listen to. Yeah. 50th anniversary next year. That I mean, they've already done Destroyer, so they've got a whole year to work on something for that. And think of that artwork on a box. If you've seen the super deluxes that they've done for Creatures and Destroyer with kind of the foil effect to them. Oh, if they could just go that extra mile and do that saw blade embossed, that would just be completely insane. And the
But
live shows.
they could do them on picture disc like that. I mean, in modern picture discs actually sound pretty good, not like the old ones back in the day.
Yeah, I would be all over Super Deluxe for Rock and Roll Over. I know that they've got the material without a doubt. Um, they've got plenty of live stuff that can go in as well. And I think it would be a fantastic album just because it is pure hard rock, and they were really firing all cylinders on the tour as well. So yeah, bring it on.
Yeah, for sure, man.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
might be your best bet because I think that one would sell more than any other box set they can come up with if you really think about it. Because it's especially to the hardcores, they were fanatical about rock and roll over, more than any other albums is, more than Destroyer. That's that one already came out. Creatures came out. This will do just as good as Creatures, maybe even a little better, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, it would be amazing. Now we all know, I guess the information's been leaked that there is going to be a Kiss Alive box set Christmas time, right? I believe. You guys heard this?
Nothing's been announced, so
Just through you. I haven't read anything about it.
Well,
They should do if that comes out, there should be a replica of that poster that the two guys are holding up on the back.
yeah, but yeah. Well, I read it somewhere that Eddie Kramer's working on other shows to add to it. So, I would welcome a Kiss Alive box set. Are you kidding? That's my favorite
I mean,
overall.
at this point, Ralph, I think Kiss fans would welcome any box, any musical release. There's been one off the soundboard this year. It's the 50th anniversary of the Kiss Army, um, 50th anniversary of Alive, 50th anniversary of Dress to Kill. I think people are ready after 2 years of basic drought just to have something big, slap down in their lap, not like Beatles anthology. So no more repackagings, just bring it on. Let's see what's in that vault. Let's hear what's in that vault. We've been very patient. So be nice to be rewarded for all the patience and all the whinging.
I would love
For
a box.
sure.
I would love a box set of the first album. Throw in
Yeah. Including those demos you mentioned earlier.
throw the Eddie Kramer demos, throw in Life in the Woods, throw in like, all these, those really early shows that I have a few of them. They sound really good. Like the,
Hmm.
the Daisy show.
The Daisy show is always really good.
You know what? Aerosmith did a great job with that 1971 show that they put out a few years ago. I would love for Universal to take that Daisy tape and properly redo it, to see if they can make it sound as good as it could sound. I would love a first album. I just don't want it to be mixed up with Wicked Lester. I know that some people talk about, well, we'll finally get to hear Wicked Lester. I only want to hear Wicked Lester that Kiss did. I don't want to hear that whole separate stuff. I would much rather the four versions of Wicked Lester be their own box. That's going to be so niche anyway that if you got to pay out the nose for it, I just want 73, 74 Kiss stuff. That would just, again, make me really happy to hear that embryonic band that was hungry, that was crazy, that didn't believe in any rules, that made it all up as they went.
I would love them to release Wicked Lester just on a record. I'd be happy with that. I
That'd be
like,
the perfect record store day release.
yeah,
Hmm.
I like about half of it. There's some good tracks on that album, man. You know?
Julian, you mentioned there's four different versions of Wicked Lester, you said?
Yeah, there's so, and who knows what they have if they have any master tapes. I mean, I know they remixed it in 76, 76, 77. They remixed it again in 2001, and those are you got, I think, two tracks on the box set. Then there's the 72 final mix, and then there's like the so-called demo version, which are the earlier recordings with Steven. So, and there's so much transitional stuff in between as layers of layers get packed on top of it. I think Gene said that they didn't do demos per se, but we've seen reels of a acoustic recording of their catalog. Paul had another Wicked Lester reel as well. So there's a lot of Wicked Lester. Plus
Wow.
there are three live recordings known, but it's not known if any of them have been found. So again, that would be the Kiss nerds, holy grail of any of the box sets, just because, again, there's probably 20 people who would go nuts for that, and the rest of them would be like, no, thank you. I'm not that
Yeah.
crazy.
I remember the first bootleg cassette I ever got of that. you could hear like music playing backwards in in the background. It's like whatever was on the other side of that tape was bleeding through. Did you ever have a version like that?
Yeah.
Because it was like sounded like subliminal messages coming in very faintly. It's very weird.
Yeah,
Yeah,
those tapes are copied so much by those little record store clerks back in the 80s. You know, the guys would have this special tray under the cashier desk and say, "Hey,
Yeah,
look at this," you know.
I
Um,
think the think this was the first CD version I got had the picture of the Dynasty cover lineup on it, but it's still Wicked Lester demos and it's got the Eddie Kramer Kiss demos on it. And then I
those
got
are good days.
the album. It's a bootleg album that came out a couple years ago with an OB strip, and it's the album cover of the kid with the dog, but it's really dark because I've got the Laughing Dogs album that they used that original cover for later on. Somebody that band, the Laughing Dogs, used it or whatever, and yeah, which looks so much cleaner. But the bootleg album is just kind of thrown together. It doesn't sound that bad.
No, it's good stuff. I miss those days where you could go in and find a bootleg that you'd never heard of. It'd have all the song titles wrong. Now we've got Wikipedia pages about all this
Yeah.
stuff, instant information. Back in the old day, God, back in the old days, I'm only talking about the 80s. You know, it's like we didn't know nothing about nothing, and we could just enjoy music for what it was or what we thought it was.
One thing you just made me think about something I forgot to mention when we were talking about this album. We were talking about Love 'Em, Leave 'Em. I had a friend, a person I went to school with one time, and they were like, I like that one song called No More People. I was like, No More People? What are you talking about? And he thought we were saying, No More People. And I came home and listened to it, and I'm going, well, it kind of sounds like, so next time you listen to it, think about that, because it kind of sounds like what they're actually saying instead of love them, leave them.
that's funny.
But when you're a kid, you're discovering all this stuff. You kind of you get stuff all screwed up. We didn't have Wikipedia back then, so.
So anybody else in the peanut gallery have anything to say?
Oh yeah, people have been talking about opening up the vaults, and a lot of people saying they like the album. Um, just talking about Casablanca Records. Um, I saw something earlier. Um, scroll through.
So that and also
Professor of psychedelic studies says the success of Beth is what broke up Kiss in the first time in the '70s. Probably did. And he also said Hard Luck Woman is the best Rod Stewart song never sung by Rod Stewart.
that is true. And another thing very special about Rock and Roll Over for me too is that Budokan show. When I was a small child in the late 70s, we had cable. We were one of the rare families, and HBO showed that Kiss concert a lot. I'm talking like 79, 78. And I would watch that over and over again every time they would play it. And that
Wow.
was the Rock and Roll Over tour. There's a lot of things connected to this album that fuck it's no longer the first album. Rock and Roll Over is my favorite Kiss album. There, I went back. Well, that's it, my friends. A special Almost Human Live on Kiss Wednesday. Doesn't happen often, but I'm sure we'll have future Kiss episodes on Thursdays because Kiss is like the most successful thing on this channel. You talk about Kiss, they're gonna tune in.
Oh my good.
Oh my God, Kiss! Anyway, thank you, Julian, once again. Give a little plug for your shows.
All right, you can find me at kissfaq.com. We do a show live every Saturday morning, 9 a.m. Pacific time. We talk about, well, the same sorts of stuff we just talked about here, but with a different group of faces. Thanks for having me on, Ralph. Good to see you as well, Tony.
Great to see you, man. Thanks for joining us.
You're very welcome. And Tony, plug your channel, man.
Tony Dio's Metal Emporium. Hopefully, I'll have some new content up soon.
You need to check out his channel. It's good stuff, as well as Julian's. I'm always listening to your episodes, man. What was the
Thanks,
last
son.
I heard? Damn it! I think you were talking about missed opportunities or something like that. I may be wrong. I can't remember exactly the last topic, but it was damn interesting, whatever the hell it was. So everybody out there, you should go check out Kiss FAQ, the Metal Emporium, and continue checking out Almost Human. Damn it, because I love you long time. So signing off. I want everybody to have a great night. And those that tuned in late, rewind, watch the beginning. It was a really good episode. And again, thank you, Julian. Thank you, Tony. And thank you, everybody. Schmack 'em a god.